We're live.
Evening, people. Welcome back to Sports and Banter, Champions League special. I'm going to be your host tonight in Glenroy's absence. Coming up on tonight's show, Hassan's going to take us through the results of the midweek fixtures. We're each going to pick a team of who we think is going to win it, judged upon what we've seen so far. Little mention for a team that's impressed me from the group stage so far. Now I'm going to open it up to the Spurs boys to tell me about what they think of the Spurs campaign so far in the Champions League. Move on to a quick breakdown of the United-Juventus game. We've got a little special coming up on whether we think Liga is too poor for PSG and it doesn't really prepare for the Champions League. And then we're going to close the show with a little discussion on the proposed well-publicised European Super League. So, Hass, do you want to take us through the results?
Yes, evening all. So starting off, I'll start from Group A and work my way through. Group A, Monaco 0, Club Brugge 4, Atletico Madrid 2, Borussia Dortmund 0. Group B, Inter Milan 1, Barcelona 1, Spurs 2, PSV 1.
Yes.
Group C, this is going to be it. Gravinia, Sevilla 2, and Liverpool 0. I believe that's RB Suttenberg or something like that. And Napoli 1, Paris Saint-Germain 1, Porto 4, Lokomotiv Moscow 1, Schalke 2, Galatasaray 0. And then tonight's fixtures, Bayern Munich, Group E, Bayern Munich 2, Athens 0, Benfica Ajax a draw, Lyon and Hoffman 2-2, Man City trumped the 6-0 over Shakhtar Donetsk. Donetsk, yeah, my pronunciation. Group G, CSKA Moscow 1, Roma 2. And then you've got FC Victoria Pilsen 0 and Real Madrid 5. And then Group H, Valencia 3, BSV Young Boys 1 and Juventus 1 and Manchester United with a late comeback to get 2 goals. Current positions, I'll just name the top 2 of each league, is Dortmund in Group A, Dortmund, Madrid, sitting top and both on 9 points. Group B, got Barcelona on 10, Inter on 7. Group C, Napoli on 6, Liverpool on 6. Group D, Porto 10, Schalke on 8 points. Bayern Munich on 10 points, Ajax on 8, Man City on 9, Lyon on 6, Madrid on 9, Roma on 9, and finally Juventus on 9 and Man United on 7. So, yeah.
Cool. Cheers, Hass. So, judging about what we've seen so far in the Champions League, any standout teams that you think that you're pretty certain could go all the way? I will open that one up to Hakan. Who's your standout team and who you think is going to go the distance?
Off the top of your head, you can't actually say there is any standout team. I mean, yeah, there's been standout performances. Yeah, there's a 5 and 6-0 tonight from Real Madrid and Man City. But all in all, I'll be honest, I'm going to put pressure on Man City here. And I know they lost 2-1. I think it was. In the Champions League. They
lost to Lyon, didn't they?
But with all the money they've spent, they've started winning Premier Leagues, winning trophies now. I think it's their year to make a stamp because you've got Barcelona, not up to their usual high standards. Likewise with Real Madrid. Juventus, you see today they lost 2-1. I mean, they're beatable. We played them last year in the Champions League and I'm going to say this as a Spurs fan, but I feel we undeservedly went out that game, out that stage from Juventus. And I'm going to put a bit of pressure on Man City. I mean, I don't think they've got anywhere close to the final yet, semi-finals or anything. And I think this is their year. They have been quite impressive in the Champions League, but yeah, at this stage, I'm going to say Man City.
Hass?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hakan's got a valid point about Man City. I think that's the only thing they're lacking is a Champions League win under Pep. I'll be honest with you, like, I do struggle to see past. I mean, just quick before I go to that, I've been very impressed with Dortmund this year.
Hmm.
I think Dortmund have done very, very well underneath the struggles that they had in the past 2 seasons, I believe it was. I think they've come back really good, really strong, both in their league and obviously in the Champions League as well. Agree with Hakan, but again, I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's just maybe I'm just following suit, but I can't see much past the Spanish side winning it. And if I'm going to pick one of them, I think I'm going to have to go with Barcelona this year. I think Real Madrid have had a bit of a topsy-turvy season, just sacked the manager. So for me, I'm going to go with Barca.
Well, I'm going to stay Spanish, and I'm just going to think if there's one team that knows how to win this tournament, it's Real Madrid, and it'd be very much like them with all the turmoil they've had, changing managers, reports of dressing room revolts, and yes, they have lost Ronaldo, but I just think if there's one team that knows how to win this tournament, it's them. So I'm going to put my neck on the line and go with Madrid. So that's City, Barca, and Madrid. Viewers, if you've got any recommendations, then just drop it in the comments, and obviously we'll give you a shout out. Moving on then, team that's impressed me the most, taking into consideration revenue and everything like that, is Ajax. I think they're a club that everyone values in terms of what they stand for, and the players that they produce and sell on. Like as you guys at Spurs know, you've recruited very well from them over the last few years. But I just think in terms of a bit of a football traditionalist, been in a group with the likes of Benfica, Bayern Munich, and the other team AEK Athens, having lost their standout player from last season in Jordan Clivert. They went right throughout the qualifying stages. They've got a very much a young and up and coming manager in Eric Ten Hag, who, earned his stripes at FC20 as the assistant, then went on to be the PSV assistant, then went on to manage the Bayern Munich reserve team. They've got possibly the most sought after teenager after Mbappe in Matthias de Ligt, who I think you guys at Spurs have even been linked with. Very much probably they say is the next big centre half coming through, and so they've been the team that stood out to me, and I think everyone likes to see Ajax in and around these tournaments, genuinely for who they are and the history that they bring. So moving on, guys, Spurs Champions League. I'm going to open it up to you in a minute to tell me what you think of their account in the Champions League so far. But, when the draw was made, I know a few Spurs fans that, and I'm not including you two in this, that thought they would, go through as second after, obviously, the favourites, Barcelona. And judging by the account you've given themselves so far of results, after being 1-0 up after 85 minutes in the San Siro, and then coming away with a 2-1 loss, then, and I would say giving a good account of yourselves at home to Barca, then playing against PSV away with, getting yourselves back in front, the Loris red card, and then conceding 87th minute equaliser. I think it's important that we also highlight that PSV domestically in the Eredivisie have gone 11 wins from 11. So, that game in itself is not a gimme. What do you two Spurs fans think of your account in the Champions League so far? Is it last chance saloon for you in the group stage, or is it a case of opportunity missed? Over to you guys.
Well, Ash, you go first.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know, man. Obviously, I believe I'm an honest Spurs fan, right? So
Yeah, I'd
for
agree with that.
I would go with leagues. Talking about the Premier League, I don't think we've played to any kind of heights or ability, played well at all, and grind out results. However, in the Champions League this year, I thought we bossed Inter for the 85 minutes. Lack of concentration, as I stressed before, conceding goals due to lack of concentration and stupid errors cost us that game. Barcelona game, I thought due to the injuries, I thought we made a good account to ourselves, but it was a bit of a messy masterclass that day.
Mm-hmm.
And when Messi's on a masterclass, not many people are going to beat them.
It's just one of those things. Sometimes you just got to sit back and enjoy, regardless whether it's your team or not.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And you know, and then look at the PSV game, and you know, again, PSV, the first game against PSV, I thought we was dominant. Again, two stupid errors, you know, and which cost us points. You know, we end up drawing that. And then yesterday, I thought we played well yesterday. To be honest with you, you know, I'll be honest with you. Why is Dele Alli marking De Jong? You know, it makes no sense to me. But they scored. But I thought we was patient. We was done really well. We fought hard. We created loads of chances. We didn't have a bit of luck with us yesterday until right at the end when our luck changed. Harry Kane for me, it's just I know some people have a mixture on them, but stats are facts, and you know Harry Kane is arguably for me he's a world class striker. I'm not saying it 'cause he's a Spurs man, but he's a world class striker, and I think he's proven it year in year out now for the past 2, 3, 4 seasons even.
Is that 4 goals he's got for you guys so far now in the campaign?
In the Champions League campaign?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 4 goals. Yeah, I think you're right.
So if you think about it, I mean, there's no reason why, say you do get through, he could be looking to certainly add another couple to that as well.
Of course, and you know, like obviously, it's like, I follow a couple of like Spurs pages on Facebook, you know, and obviously my following on Inter. Hello,
Yeah, we're
my following on Twitter is quite prominently Spurs, you know, boxing but Spurs, and you know, some people are so negative in it, you know, like look, this is my thing. Okay, we've got a big task in front of us in order to qualify. Let's be real. We've got a hard task, but I do not see why we cannot beat Inter. I don't see, and I know you're going to think I'm being mad here, but if things plan out, Barcelona will be qualified. If we can beat Inter, when we go to play Barca, hopefully they'll play a weakened side because they've already qualified. Rest a couple of players, and there's no reason why we can't beat Barca as well. We beat Madrid last year, you know. We beat we topped our group last year in what was meant to be the group of death. Do you see what I mean? And so I personally don't see why we can't. Obviously, we're going to need a bit of luck with that, and we're going to need to cut out the stupid errors that we make defensively at times. But yeah, like I believe we can get through it, and I think as a Spurs fan, you've got to believe that. I think people from the outside will look at us as being a bit stupid, but yeah, I believe we can make it through. Very, very hard challenge, though. Very hard challenge. This time in 2 weeks' time, I could be sitting here thinking, "Oh well, that's it. We're done. We're out now, and we're going to the Europa." However, if we go into the Europa again, I believe we can push to try and win something in the Europa. But yeah, that's my kind of like lowdown on Spurs.
Just before I come to you, Hack, just so if you beat Inter in the next game, does that mean you have to go to Barca and win, or does that mean you just have to get a better result than what PSV get?
No, we've got to win both games.
Okay.
We've got to win both games. At the end of the day, you know, we've got to win both games. And to a degree, we've got to hope that PSV get something out of it. Out of Inter game. I don't think they will, personally. But I think they need to try and get something out of it. But we've got to win. I mean, we've got a 2-goal difference.
Yeah.
So basically, if we go and beat Inter Milan 2-0 now, and then can go and beat Barcelona, then there's a good chance that we'll go through. But it's such a hard task to go through, you know? Really hard task to go through. My thing is, I believe we can win the next 2 games, and then we have to see where destiny takes us.
Oh, I suppose that's what Benefan's all about. Hack?
The only... I'm an optimistic fan, haven't you? And do you know what I mean? Yeah, we there is a way of us going through if we win our next game against Inter and draw against Barcelona, but I think it's on goal difference. Yeah, I think it'd be on goal difference or something like that. But realistically, we have to win our next 2 games. And if we was at Wembley, I wouldn't say home, I would say at Wembley, I'd give ourselves more of a chance of beating Barcelona. But I'll be honest with you, I just struggle with it. To be fair, coming back to the question, what you said about our campaign in the Champions League, there's only one way, really and truly, I'm going to be critical here of Spurs, is One way to describe it: sloppy. Sloppy performances, sloppy times in the games at crucial times. Example: Loris the other week, and just individual mistakes at the wrong times in the game. It's just lost us the game. It's just lost us the campaign, and that's the thing about the Champions League is you're playing against the best, and it's so brutal, and it only takes 5 minutes and you're out. Do you know what I mean? It literally combine 5 minutes in all their matches, and you're out of that competition.
You know the funny thing. Sorry, do you know the funny thing, right? I was reading something earlier on. I didn't even realise it myself. In the last 7 days, Spurs have played 3 games, and they've won all 3. Now that's not bad. Do you know what I mean? That's good, but that's not bad. And a lot of people will say Spurs are in turmoil, Spurs didn't sign no players, Spurs are in crisis, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? We're sitting 4th in the league. I think we're 2 points or 3 points off Liverpool.
Yeah.
We are, we've got a big ask to ask for in order to get through the Champions League. But I believe there's a possibility there. I'm not going to be deluded. There's a possibility there. Anything can happen. I'm going to say something really bold, and obviously, I'm on a WhatsApp group with my brothers. Obviously, if I come being my brother, and obviously Mehmet, and I said to him yesterday, as a joke, I said, mate, watch the comebacks on now. And I said, mate, what happens if we went off and won the next 2 games, qualified, and actually fucking won the Champions League? Now that is like Gaga land and
yeah, but it's what being a football fan's all about, though, isn't it? Like, I'm not like we said we wouldn't turn this into like an Arsenal Spurs thing, and if anything, I ain't got any right to be talking on tonight's show as we don't play until tomorrow. However, when we had that run and when we got to the final that year, we played against the likes of Juventus, Real Madrid, with a back 4 that included Flamini playing at left back, Senderos playing at centre back. And you're playing against these teams, and you're going in, and it is almost an element of it's the optimism that gets you through and stuff like that. So, like I said, if credit where credit's due, if you boys get through, then do you know what? You've done the mission impossible, and I think you've been, what is it they say, Spursy? So if you get through, then fair dues to you, really.
You got to believe. I mean, you look back. You look back a couple of years with Leicester. Do you know what I mean? And not only that, you look when Liverpool last won the Champions League in 2005 in Istanbul was something like that. I mean, you look at their team who played in their squad, who played in that final against AC Milan, who at the time was a decent team.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, and they didn't have any worldies in there.
No, they're like, what is it? Gemma Schmitzer.
I mean, Dudek was a hero that night.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was never a class keeper.
Yeah. But it's like I said, anything can happen. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but that's Liverpool, and Liverpool got to the Champions League final last year as well, though.
But they'll tell you they were cheated out of it. But
of course, some people are going to feel deprived. Some people ain't going to feel deprived. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? But they made the Champions League final last year, and that's a big ask in itself, and they've done well in that. However, going off the subject of Spurs quickly, their group, really weird group, like it's so tight. Liverpool sitting second, and I think they're on 6 points actually. Let me just check. I think they're on 6 points or 5 points, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, mate, what the hell is happening?
Like Napoli's not. Yeah, definitely. It was almost like they almost thought all they had to do was turn up. I mean, when Neymar scored a hat trick there, like all their fans were going, "Oh, he scored a hat trick against a bunch of farmers and stuff like that." But they were terrible yesterday. And I mean, Napoli in itself not an easy place to go to or a team to come up against. That's easy by any stretch now, especially now they've got Ancelotti, who's won the tournament with numerous clubs and stuff like that. PSG, I mean, we'll come on to them later. But, I think Liverpool very much, if they go out, they've got to blame themselves for last night's result.
Yeah, but talking about the league quickly, right?
Mm.
Napoli top
Hmm.
with 6 points, Liverpool second with 6 points,
Yeah.
PSG third with 5 points, and
Hmm.
uh, is it RB Stuckenberg
It's
we're
Red
playing,
Star
or is it?
Belgrade that have been given I think they were given a new name because of like the end of communist regime or something like
Right,
that out
okay,
there.
yeah. And then obviously, so they've changed their name and they're on 4 points. So there's
Mm.
2 points dividing fourth place and first place. So that's going to be an interesting league to see where that goes, you know. And I think like Liverpool have hit a little bit of a dip in recent form, shall we say. You know, they've obviously been very good this year. And they haven't lost a game in the league yet. But yeah, I think they've hit a little bit of a dip at the moment. So it'd be
No,
interesting to see how they recover from that.
definitely. I mean, I was speaking to a couple of Liverpool fans after the game at the weekend, and they were saying like it wasn't just necessarily against us that they weren't at their best. Like they haven't had the free flowing football that they have had last season, pretty much all year. Like the front three haven't been firing for them, and to a certain extent, like they thought that it was only a matter of time before they came up against someone that either has their number to a certain extent or doesn't give them the like sit back and just let them come at them. I think recent results have shown that for them.
Mm, yeah.
Anything you boys want to add more on the Spurs before we move on to Man United?
No, no, you're right.
No,
Yeah,
I'm fine. Yeah.
good, good. Man United. Who saw that coming? I mean, I was watching the game and it seemed very much that Juventus pretty much were in control to a certain extent. I mean, in the likes of Juventus's team, you've got Ronaldo, Dybala, Pjanic, two great centre halves in Bonucci and Chiellini. Sandro and Matuidi. And, United named a team of De Gea, Young, Smalling, Lindelof, Shaw, Herrera, Matic, Pogba, Lingard, Sanchez and Martial. When you compare the two teams before kickoff, how many United players would you say realistically would possibly get in that Juventus team? I mean, I don't think anyone from the defence side of things would probably take De Gea over Chesney. And then you're clutching at straws, really, aren't you? I mean, I'd happily take Ronaldo and Dybala over any of Man United's front three. So, and then, the verdict's still out on the enigma that is Paul Pogba, whether he gets into the Juventus team over Pjanic or not. So, obviously, Ronaldo's goal. Did you guys see it? What a strike.
I haven't seen it, no.
Oh, mate, yeah. It's a great, like, Chiellini plays, no, sorry, Bonucci plays a great ball over the top. Ronaldo just runs into the area, lets it drop over his shoulder, and just smashes it on the volley. I mean,
Bullet.
it's yeah, absolute bullet. Even De Gea's not saving it. But at the time, like Juve were on top pretty much throughout the second half. There were numerous times that De Gea was rooted to the spot and just either watching the ball drift over, watching it go wide. Juve hit the bar, hit the post. And, going into the game, the domestic form, they're top of Serie A with 10 wins out of 11 and drawn one with a goal difference of 16. So, and last time Juventus actually lost at home in the Champions League was back on the 2nd of October 2013. So, for Manchester United to come from a goal down and then beat a team that hasn't been beaten at home in over 5 years, I think, only amounts to what we've said in previous shows where has Jose finally got on playing for him? What do you think, Hass?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think Man United are a weird one, didn't they? You know,
Mm,
I mean, they started off in the league a little bit okay, then they took a hiding off us 3-0 at their place,
mm,
and then they kind of like dipped in a form a bit, and then all of a sudden they've started winning games recently, but haven't been playing well.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, a lot of people are saying as Jose got the team back, this, that, the other. I don't know. That's a matter of time. But what I can say to you is they are grinding out results now. So that's what they're doing. They're grinding them out. They're not. I don't believe they're playing well enough to say, oh, we totally deserve that.
mm,
But they're grinding the results out, which is a sign of a good team, I believe.
mm,
So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens,
yeah,
in there. But I don't think they're playing great. I think they're grinding it out. I think their defence is weak, very
yeah.
weak, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, it's weird. I
If you
don't
look,
know.
I mean,
I find them weird.
if you look at their results in the Champions League this year, I mean, 3-0 win away to Young Boys, a 0-0 draw at home to Valencia, a 1-0 loss to Juventus at home, and then, a great result tonight for them, regardless of the performance. A 2-1 win away at Juve. It does look like they're going to go through because they've got Young Boys to play next, which at home you'd fancy United to get through. And then they've got the Valencia away in the last game of the group stage. So, all in all, it's very much, I think, in their hands. And if Jose doesn't see him through, then based upon where they are at the moment, that really could be the writing on the wall for them. But I just think that would United be better off going into the Europa? Because let's be honest, they're not going to go the distance in the Champions League, and they'd have more of a shout in the Europa. But fair play to them for digging out a result. So, but
Yeah.
I just didn't understand his team selection as well, especially don't get me wrong, people look at it and probably say, well, what's he on about? They've come away with a win. When you're going to play these teams in Italy, which are, stereotypically defensive, very rigid, like to play slow, build up players, stuff like that. I can't understand why he left Rashford on the bench, especially in a striker that is energetic, pacey, will stretch the back line, will look to get in behind, and cause the likes of Bonucci and Chiellini problems. One thing what did stand out to me tonight was how much more of a threat Manchester United are without Lukaku. Because against Juve in the game at Old Trafford, Bonucci and Chiellini must have been absolutely licking their lips, marking a statue pretty much all game. I mean, no disrespect, mate, but I think you've got a better first touch than Lukaku. And he just doesn't really offer anything to me. And it's just another sign of how poor Manchester United's recruitment has been. I mean, they've spent 50 odd million on Fred. He was on the bench tonight. I mean, I don't think he even got on. And yeah, I mean, and they all thought Fred the Red was going to come in and be that guy in midfield that, they've been missing over the years. One thing that stood out to me tonight is how tasty Dybala is as well. And if there are rumours are true that Pogba does want to go back to Juve, that'd be certainly someone I'd be looking to try and get in exchange, because that kid is special, mate. He's very special.
That Dybala tore us an arsehole last year, I think.
Yeah. It's just he's almost Messi. I'm not comparing him at all whatsoever, but he's almost Messi-like, isn't he? The way he's got that low centre of gravity. He's left-footed. The way he comes in, drifts in from right to left, and he's very composed in front of goal and stuff like that. So, yeah, before that game, I'd even thought Juve might have a chance of actually doing it this year. If you look at their team, player for player, I mean, it is up there. There aren't many teams that have got the likes of, like I said, Ronaldo, Dybala, Pjanic, Matuidi, Alexandro, Bonucci and Chiellini at the back as well. If you think about it, player for player, that's up there with the teams in the tournament. So, I think they'll be very disappointed that they let it slip. And, last 5 minutes should be seeing that game out. But at least it keeps that group more interesting. What did stand out to me as well was, yet again, Jose spoils a great result with the usual poor behaviour on the sideline, giving it to the Juve fans, as if to say, what you got to say now and stuff like that. Why can't that guy ever show any class or dignity or anything like that? Especially when he's playing against, an established team like Juventus that did play him off the park at Old Trafford. Why can't he just take his victory with dignity and, actually show a bit of class sometimes?
That's a good point, mate.
Yeah.
Don't seem to do that, unfortunately.
No, and I really do think that's a lot to do why he doesn't get possibly some of the praise that he may deserve, or that, that his record of winning. Let's be honest, he's won the Champions League on, he's arguably the surprise package of recent years is in Porto. So, but yeah, moving on to PSG.
PSG.
So, my question is, do you think the fact that Ligue 1 is so poor that PSG have got 12 wins in 12 with 41 goals scored, 7 goals conceded, giving them a goal difference of 34. They're already 11 points clear at the top of the table. Neymar's scored 12 goals in all competition, majority of them coming in the league. My man Mbappe has got 13 goals in all competitions, but yet they're not necessarily setting Europe alight on the continent. What do you think?
I mean, I personally think this to me is another clear indication that when we have a chat about Champions League and teams, you've got to be elite to be in a Champions League, this, that, the other. You know, the French league for me is no stronger than the Scottish league. I think the Scottish league's poor. I think the French league is poor. It's really weird because I'm just looking through the league at the moment, and you've got some big teams in the French league: Paris Saint-Germain, Lyon, Marseille. You've got Monaco as well in there. I mean, I know they're having a nightmare at the moment. Poor old Henri. But they've got some big clubs in there. Bordeaux, Nice. And it does surprise me that they are doing they seem to be doing so well. 12 games, 12 wins, 34 goal difference, 36 points, maximum points. In the Champions League, when you've got to step up and play the elite, shall we say, and to be fair to them, they're not in an easy league. They've got Napoli, they've got Liverpool in there. I think you get the true colours come out of the team. And I think with Champions League, you do need that je ne sais quoi, but you also need that team grit where you get together and you fight as a unit. And I just think that maybe they're struggling. Like Man City struggled for the past 2 years in the Champions League. They've done very well in the league, domestic league, but in the Champions League, they've always Man City struggled. And I think that might be a possibility for what's happening to PSG as well at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I certainly agree with you there. I think going into the Champions League, it's a bit of a learning curve, to be honest. And I'm not firing shots at you guys here, but like the way you've switched off after dominating games and you come away with getting nothing in games, like it's a learning curve. And I remember when Man United first started out getting back into Europe, they were dropping points against the likes of Galatasaray, Honved, and teams like that back in especially in the early 90s and stuff like that. And then we had it as well when we moved to Wembley to play our Champions League games. We were losing to the likes of Florentina, Panathinaikos, and teams like that. So it is really a different. It's almost like it sounds stupid, but it's almost like a different game in itself. Like in the Champions League, literally, like these teams are in it for a reason, and normally there's only a couple of whipping boys in the tournament, and then other teams are there because they are the champions, and there's really no mugs in it. I mean, you've only got to look at the upsets, the teams like Basel, of course, over the last couple of years in the Champions League against some of the bigger boys, and it's tough. Like literally, if you switch off for any period of time over the course of that 90, 95 minutes, it is 9 times out of 10 it will cost you and come back to bite you on the arse. So, and it's like you said, like you do need that grit and that determination, and I think PSG playing in such a average league, being polite about the French league, I think like it's not doing them any favours whatsoever. But what are they going to do? Like they can only.
The thing is with PSG is the owners have gone in there and basically splashed loads of cash in a league they know they've got no competition in.
Yeah.
At least Man City have done that. The owners of Man City have done that in a league which is the best league in the world, and they're going to get competition from it. And by competition, it's like PSG. All they play for, I agree with you. Ligue 1 for PSG is pointless. Mind you, they're a French team. They can't go anywhere. The Super League crap is bollocks. So that's that. But their season is every season. PSG is the Champions League.
Yeah.
The league should be standard for them. That's no competition. That is no competition.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the same. Like I said, there's a few leagues out there. are very similar to that, and I agree with that. Like I said, I kind of like going back on really what I said. They have got some big clubs in, they've got some big teams in it, or past big teams in there.
Hmm.
But they've gone in, spent ridiculous amounts of money in a league that is poor. Look at this. Look at it this way. It's a bit like someone going in um, buying Rangers now, yeah, because
Yeah,
obviously Rangers have been reformed, and spending all this big money. They've got no, of course they're going to win the league. Do you see what I mean?
mm.
Of course they're going to win the league. They're going to win everything.
If they're
I just
outspending
think
their
it's
rivals and bringing in a much higher caliber of player and stuff like that than their rivals, then eventually they are going to win it. One
yeah.
thing I think PSG do have over everyone though is that Air Jordan kit that they wear in the Champions League. That's naughty, isn't it? That's a bit tasty, that kit. But and they only wear it for the Champions League as well, so it says everything about them. The fact that they've even marketed themselves off to a different brand to make their kit, especially for the Champions League as well. But I just think like are PSG pretty much everything that's wrong with modern football as well. Like you've only got to look at the demands players like Neymar's making, and like I was even reading on Twitter today, like Mbappe's new contract, he wants his own personal staff to have an allowance of €30,000 a month paid by the club. He wants like 50 hours a month dedicated to him by the club's private jets and stuff like this. I mean, fucking hell, guys! Like, isn't your salary enough that you just can live your life like that? But I can't really
But
take
you know
PSG
what? The thing
seriously.
is, if PSG are prepared to pay it, then why shouldn't they ask for it?
Yeah, but
You know?
it comes back to is modern football. But I think, but eventually as well, like I think Mbappe will have to leave PSG for him to, because he is the wonder kid at the moment, isn't he? Like the guy's on fire.
Yeah. He needs
Uh,
to leave to go to the ASM, but at the end of the
yeah,
day, I believe he's very advanced for his age. But
yeah,
spending another year or another 2 years, at PSG, sorry, ain't going to really do him no harm.
no,
Do you know
definitely.
what I mean? It will teach him how to win because they're going to
Yeah,
win.
hmm
They're going to win titles, they're going to win leagues, etc., etc. We'll teach him how to win. So when he does move
Neymar
on,
moving before Mbappe.
no, I don't know. Like Neymar for me is a weird one, man. I don't know
who's
what it
that?
is. Really. Neymar,
Oh, I can't
it's a
take
weird
to him.
one for me. Isn't it weird because he's a quality player, very good player, but
Yeah,
for me, I can't put him in the same bracket as as the of the elite
yeah.
of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi at the moment.
No, I don't even think he's like anywhere close to him. Like, I mean, I don't want to harp on too much about him in the World Cup, but did he set the world alight at all? I mean, I know Messi didn't really do so, but it was supposed to be Neymar's tournament and stuff like that going into it, and he just made a fool of himself. Yes, he does things in games that will get you off the edge of your seat, like he'll flick it over someone's head or go this way, go that way. Toy with players at times, but it's just everything else that comes with it. I mean, I don't even think like he's not even Ronaldinho level to me. Like, do you know what I mean? And as much as I think Ronaldinho is the most skillful player I've ever seen, I don't think like he's anywhere near that level either, let alone Messi's level.
I think he gets too distracted, mate. I think he gets
Mhm.
distracted,
I
which
think
which which hampers him.
I think there's mostly a bit of issue with his attitude. I think he's gone to his head a bit too younger than what he should have done, really, because he was big at a young age.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, when he was at Santos, he was even getting dubbed like the fact that he played for Santos in Brazil, wearing number 10. He was already getting called like the next Pele, even at like 17, 18 years old. I mean, that in itself
But
is
sorry, Matt, finish.
no. That in itself has seen so many players over the years go down the wrong path. I mean, they did that to Robinho as well. I mean, if there's one player that's really not really achieved anything of his career that he should have done, would have been Robinho
Yeah, I
for
agree
me.
with that.
At one point you would like this guy is the next best thing, like no one can touch him, and then didn't really do it at Madrid. Thought he was signing for Man U, but actually ended up signing for Man City, and then he's kind of just drifted off, went to AC Milan, and then just kind of just drifted off, hasn't he, over the years? And I don't, is he? Don't know if he's still playing. Last time I read, he was up on a rape charge or something like that, which was well publicised in Brazil. But, you know, there's so many players like that. I mean, Pato was like that at one point as well, wasn't he? Like, tipped to be the next big thing.
Yeah, he was class as well. And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, they just go off the rails. And I think that's the difference. I think that's when you can tell the difference between an elite player and a
Yeah.
good player, you know?
Yeah.
You know, that's my thought. What's next on the list, Matt?
Well, whilst we're talking about Brazilians, I'll chuck it out there to you then quickly before we move on. If you had to pick one, you've got the choice of, and this is a completely off the cuff question, Ronaldinho, Neymar, or the Ronaldo, El Fenomeno. Who would you go for?
For me,
Yeah.
I'll answer that one for me. Purely on an entertainment basis, Ronaldo was something special. But
Yeah.
Ronaldinho, the showmanship that he showed and the skill and the tricks that he done, mate, he's my favourite player. You know, Zidane comes up there, you know, in that sort of era. But for me, Ronaldo was my favourite player.
Ronaldinho. Yeah.
Sorry. Ronaldinho is my favourite player. He was just beautiful to watch.
Hack.
Yeah, I'll have to double it up with Ronaldinho, man. He was one of them dudes, mate. You know what I mean? Used to watch him play, then used to get a ball and go right in the back garden and try exactly what he'd done on that gap. And there wasn't a lot of players who was able to do that to little kids. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of players, but there's specific players which could do that. And Ronaldinho is one of them dudes, mate. Magic.
Well, I'm gonna go for Ronaldo, El Fenomeno. Like, I think that if that guy had been, he's the best striker I've ever seen. I would say he just probably pips Van Basten in terms of, the best striker I've seen. And I think if that guy...
Have you not seen Jermaine Defoe?
But I think that if Ronaldo had stayed fully fit, without the crucial injuries that he had, in various stages of his career, we would be talking about him in that Messi and Ronaldo bracket as up there with the best of all time. I think the guy was that good. But, cool. Bringing on to the final topic of the night. What do you guys make of this proposed breakaway Maverick European Super League where, there's going to be no relegations in it. There's no promotions.
And Tottenham isn't invited?
Yeah, Tottenham haven't been invited. The teams that have been invited into it are Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Barcelona, Atleti, Real Madrid, Bayern, Dortmund, Roma, Juve, Inter, AC Milan, PSG, Marseille. I mean, to me, this just stinks of, first of all, the arrogance of the elite teams, complete disregard for the fans, and an element of greed, because there'll be some stupid TV network out there that'll pay them billions for the TV rights. But yeah, it's almost like there's no relegations, there's no promotions, there's no domestic rivalry, which all of us fans love. I mean, I'm sure the first fixture you guys look for, and I know the first fixture I look for when they come out as an Arsenal fan, and you guys as Spurs fans, is when's the derby? And it's just not really going to have any of that. Fans are going to be expected to pay out thousands travelling around, even more so than they do now, going to see it. And it just stinks of, like, it's just pointless to me. Like, I actually like the unpredictability of the Premier League, that the fact that it's not unheard of for a team in the relegation zone to beat one of the guys at the top of the league, and the fact it is so competitive. I mean, what do you guys think?
Do you know what? I'll just put this out there. I think it's rumour mill and bullshit, and it won't materialise. But if you're playing international games, or clubs are playing international games weekly, how long before, for example, Arsenal, Barcelona in America?
Yeah.
And that'll be a league fixture.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you know what I mean? And that's when it becomes stupid to the fans, and it's becoming. If that was to be the case, which I really hope it doesn't, and I really don't think it will. It'd be becoming football clubs will start to become franchises similar to American football,
yeah.
and that's not the route we want to go down.
You know, an idea off the back of that. I mean, I don't agree with it. I mean, look, if it happens, mate, Spurs got more chance of winning the league. Let's put it right. You know, the Premier League. But no, if it does, I don't think it will happen. But maybe what they should consider is reformatting the Champions League. Yeah. So in my view to that is what you do is you take the top two teams out of each league, and you form a smaller league in the Champions League.
Well,
Does that
almost like
make sense?
the winners go through, and then the guys that come second or runners up go through like the qualifiers or something like that.
Yeah,
So
go through the
yeah,
qualifiers, and then you're playing shorter games, yeah, and then you've only got the elite from the past season in that competition. Do you see what I mean? Because that will always change, and that will always fight. So instead of at the moment, for example, in the Premier League, in the Spanish league, and Italian leagues, etc., we always sit there and say, we always want a top four finish to get into the Champions League. That will push clubs even more to do a top two finish. And I think that's something that definitely they should consider. And then maybe pushing, maybe creating another European Cup, so you've still got more teams playing within Europe. But having the Champions League or the Elite Champions League, then the Champions League, then Europa League. Do you see
yeah,
what I mean?
because they're on about bringing another European tournament in a couple of years, almost like bringing the Cup Winners' Cup back like it used to be.
Yeah.
And then also as well, like funny you should say about America, Hack. Like there's even talks that the 2021 Champions League final might be played in New York as well.
Yeah, there you go. It's a start.
Yeah.
Barcelona and the Liga was pushing for their league game to be played. That's a bad move for fans. I know football's fans is global, but your team is where your team is. You named Tottenham for a reason. You named Barcelona for a reason. You named Arsenal Greenwich for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Though?
Yeah.
Woolwich.
But no, definitely. I'm sort of really against it. I mean, I'm almost to the point where I think I probably would. I don't say I'd give up on the Arsenal, but I think that I'd really consider it. Like if we didn't get involved in this breakaway league and stuff like that. I mean, what's the point in it? Like everything you stand for as a football fan just goes out the window.
Every Saturday you woke up and watched 3:00 kickoffs and watching them games come through on teletext from them days. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to playing in a pointless league where there's no relegations. It's the same teams regardless of who finishes bottom, who finishes top and stuff like that. I think it's a bit of a joke.
Yeah, it's not what I'd like to see, to be honest with you. I like it how it is at the moment. I do think there's too much money in football, to be honest with you. But that's something that you can't help, It's becoming a lot of more high-profile sports, i.e., football and boxing, for example. In the UK, we like to talk about boxing as well. And I think that's the situation. But I would like to see that. I like to see what we're doing now. But maybe creating something that only the elite from the year before get to play in, and not having four teams in there. I mean, look at. I mean, as a clear example here, look at Monaco. Monaco made the Champions League. They're sitting near the bottom of their French league, and they're getting thumped every week at the moment. Do you see what I mean? So, in the Champions League, they sit at the bottom of their Champions League, and they're sitting near the bottom of their French league. Sorry, and they're getting thumped every week, mate. You know what I mean? So, how does that make them an elite club? In order to how gives them the right to play in the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? But they deserve that from last year. So
it almost stems back. Did when Man United started this kind of breakaway stuff, where they went out to the World Club Cup rather than playing in the FA Cup all those years back?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they ended up getting tumped up by Romario and Edmundo for Vasco da Gama and came away with nothing and stuff like that. So, I'm not for it by any stretch. I think I do, being part of the Premier League is as much as a commercial whore. I think the clubs are at times. I think the great thing is that it is competitive throughout the league. There is that rivalry between the fans, and it does have that unpredictability as well. So no, I'm massively against it. What's your word on it,
I don't
Hass?
like it.
For it or against?
Against.
Hack.
Against.
Right. So you hear that, Super League, Sports and Banter podcast are against it. So just bear that in mind when you make your decision. Guys, we've got any other business before we wrap it up?
I know we're not
No, the
speaking.
business. I'll tell you what. I've got a quick one, just to
Yeah.
change it up slightly. Obviously, we've got the USAC Billy fight
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday. I think it's going to be a really good fight. What's your predictions?
As much as I'd like to see Bellas do it, and I wasn't always necessarily a big fan of his. I sometimes thought he was a bit of a typical Scouser gobshite, but fair play to him. Like, it is a case of boy's done well. He knows his limit. I think he's never tried to join the gravy train and trying to call out AJ or anyone like that. And he's following his dream at the end of the day. If he can finish his career being unified in the cruiserweight division, then for a kid that they were always called fat and overweight and couldn't fight, then he's not done bad for himself. So I'd like to see him win it. I just don't know whether it's just one too many for him. Don't get me wrong, Usyk's no mug, and I think if Bellew fights the right way and doesn't let him get close, then he's got a chance. Because I think Bellew's hook is up there with the best in that, especially in the cruiserweight division, let alone the heavyweight division. So he's certainly got a chance, but I'm saying I'm probably... No, fuck it. I'm going to put it out there. Bellew knockout.
Go on, Ellie.
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? My prediction is this. I would love Bellew to win it, but I think Usyk would just have too much boxing ability in his legs. When you watch him on Saturday, I believe everyone would be amazed with his leg movement. Absolute star. I do think Bellew's got a punching chance, and typical fight week, do you know what I mean? You start watching the old Bellew knockouts on the card with Jagged Hay and all that, do you know what I mean? You start getting a bit hyped up. Listen to a few pundits, and there's some of the Sky Sports pundits, as I suppose they would, is tipping Bellew and never seen him like this. So it gets you a bit hyped and makes you start thinking. But deep down, if I was going to put my money down, I'd put it down on Usyk for two reasons. One, because I think he would win. And two, if Bellew won, I wouldn't mind losing my money.
Yeah. No, for me, I agree with you, mate. I think, it was really weird because when the first Bellew Hay fight come out, I backed Bellew. And everyone was going, nah, Hay will win, Hay will win, Hay will win. And I'll never forget, I was in Newcastle on Stag and we watched it. And, mate, and obviously we had the injury, but Bellew won that fight. Rematch, Bellew scored Hay. So, I like Bellew. He's down to earth guy, and for that sake, I want him to win. I do believe if he wins by KO or TKO, whatever it will be a stoppage. If it goes to points, then it's definitely a USAC win. The pluses for Bellew is maybe his experience. He's got a bit more professional ring experience than USAC. He's only fought 15 fights. But yeah, it's a very hard task for Bellew. I'd love to see him do it. But what I will say, it's going to be an enjoyable fight.
Sweet. Just before we wrap this up,
Yep.
I'm going to carry on a little. I'm just going to, not a question, I'm just going to put it out there. I was watching an interview earlier on about the Wilder Fury card.
Mm-hmm.
And the stadium they're fighting in is a 19,000 seat stadium. 3 weeks out to the fight, they've sold 9,000 seats. They've not even opened the top tier yet. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing how these pay-per-views do. Because I hope good for them both, but if it falls flat, I'd love to see that Shelley Finkel's face and Deontay Wilder's face. But anyway, that's mine.
But you know what? And that's funny you said that, right? Because I mean, what is Chisora White sold out? Is it sold out already? Do you know?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's sold out, but I think it's sold quite a few so far.
Sold quite a few so far. That's what I mean. A lot of people talking about the Fury Thingy fight at the moment. Obviously, it's the biggest heavyweight fight out there that's scheduled at the moment. But mate, yeah, I agree with you, mate. I think we're gonna have a big. I hope it does well. I really do, because I think if it does well, I think it puts more pressure for the AJ fight to happen with the winner. Um, but uh, but yeah, mate, I'd like to see what happens there. But that's what I mean. Top tier and even open sold 9,000 tickets. You got Dante Wilder fainting because they sold $1 million worth of tickets. Fucking idiot.
No,
Do you
they
know
have
what I mean?
sold them ones, but they'd be like ringside and VIP and
Yeah.
like the closer edge ones. They've sold 9,000 tickets, which isn't bad, but I mean, 9,000 tickets for a pay-per-view heavyweight fight, which is supposed to be the biggest fight in America for this year, is a poor return, really.
It's ridiculous. I can't. I mean, mate, you got all these Wilder fanboys who were sitting there going, AJ only sold 80,000 tickets in his last fight. Couldn't even sell out Wembley. He sold 80,000 tickets for Christ's
Yeah.
sake. Do you know what I mean? And you're struggling to sell 10,000. There's no
They have still got
comparison to
3
it.
weeks, so I'll imagine they will sell more tickets nearer to the time. But yeah, let's see how it goes. At this present moment, apparently that's all they've sold.
Yeah.
I quite like Fury to get a good payday out of this. I mean, he was stitched up a couple of times with losing his purse against Hay when them fights fell through and stuff like that. So if there's one guy that I think does deserve a bit of a payday, would be Tyson.
But, mate, let's just remember something, right? Tyson Fury's done it to other fighters as well,
Yeah.
where they've gone into training camp and he's pulled out this, that, the other.
Mm.
So, we do have that side of it too. But you know what? Look, it sounds really weird, My view on it is I just think that if Tyson wins,
Mm.
which I'd like to see him
Yeah,
win,
I'd like to too.
I don't envisage him fighting AJ anytime soon. If he wins.
No,
Oh,
I almost agree with you there. Will he try and get the Dillian White fight first and then fight AJ? But I think that's a
yeah,
risky
that's
fight
what I
for him
think
as
he'll
well.
do. That's what I think he'll do. But then
Who are we speaking about?
Wilder. We're talking about Tyson Fury. If Tyson Fury won, would he fight Wilder? Would he fight AJ? I think he would, but I don't think he'll fight him straight away.
Rematch.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that,
Mm.
Akan. And then you've got the Wilder. I think Wilder is the biggest joke of a heavyweight in all time.
Mate,
Not in all time, but currently, he's the most protected heavyweight. He's the guy's a coward. I don't care what anyone says. He talks his own bullshit, believes his own bullshit.
I actually
Coming
think
out
White
saying,
beats
he
him.
looks who?
I think White beats Wilder.
My only thing about Wilder is he's got that power, And I'll be honest with you, if we're going to talk about AJ Wilder, I think AJ beats him because I think AJ would just have to come forward and keep stepping forward, and that's what he'd do. The only thing that worries me with AJ is he's too robotic
Mm.
in the way he stands. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think AJ's still improving as a fighter, whereas Wilder's as good as he's ever going to be.
Of course, mate. He's 42 fights in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Never unified a division or anything.
Mm.
Anyway,
Is that
I'm
part
not
of the
Wilder's
reason
biggest
why the
fan.
fight ain't happened, though, Yellis?
Say again, mate?
Was that part exactly what you just said there? Is that part of the reason why the fight ain't happened?
Yeah, I think so, and I
What?
think
Because AJ's not ready.
No, because AJ's improving. Deontay Wilder's only going to get worse. So, I mean,
Whatever.
AJ's team. I don't know. That's a different. I think that's
Yeah.
a whole different podcast, guys. To be honest, that conversation.
Yeah, I
we
agree.
could have it in it. We could have it in itself. So cool. Do you want to wrap it up there, then, lads?
Yeah. So
Cool. So don't forget to
good
tune
chat.
in for the Bellew Usyk fight live reaction, and then coming up on Sunday's podcast, we're going to be doing the Sports and Banter football roundup as well. We'll be discussing all the Premier League results, and we know interesting question this week, and everyone will get their opportunity to answer it by giving their all-time Premier League 11. Okay, it's not your favourite players; it's who you think position, player for player, is the best in that position. All right, so it should be some interesting conversations.
All right. Lovely. Nice chatting to you both. And
You two boys, stay
Peace out,
safe.
guys.
See you later.
see you soon. Bye bye.